Okay, hi. So, a few things before we start. I'm going to be doing the series about freelancing and that's going to continue. But in parallel to that, I'm also going to be doing the series about life in the US and moving back to India and all of that stuff because I still get a lot of questions about it. So, that's one part. The other part is that we will be joined today by a guest star, Pimplesh. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you've probably met Pimplesh before and he has decided to stay. And for some reason, this pimple is a man. Thirdly, I get a lot of troll comments about how I should put on more makeup and jewelry and dress up and stuff. I would just like to qualify the fact that I am wearing eyeliner and earrings today and say that I did not succumb to the trolls. It's just that I just got home and I am too lazy to change. Anyway, on with the video. Today I'm going to talk about my life as an undergrad engineering student in Atlanta and the sort of expectations versus reality that came with that. Firstly, people always sort of commented and said, oh dude, college in America is like one big party, right? You're just like at these frat parties all the time and like killing it. Yeah, I mean, we went to frat parties every now and then, but most of it was like doing work, doing laundry, doing homework, going to class, being sleep deprived because you skipped class and sleep to finish homework for another class. And I went to like a particularly competitive college, so most of my time was spent on work, like, to be fully honest. There are less competitive schools that actually have more fun, but my experience was totally different. It's also such a mind shift from the Indian education system. Like, I did ICSE and then only your unit tests and your term exams really count for anything, and so you're like, okay, I have to work hard like once a month, right? That's not a big deal. No, every class gives you multiple assignments per week, and every assignment, every quiz, every test, everything counts towards your final grade. And even if you're getting like 7 out of 10 consistently for the entire semester, that still adds up to a C. Like, that's a 70 out of 100, so you're like just passing. So I think there's like a huge misconception about that. Like, yes, we party, but it's an insane amount of work, and I feel like people don't give that enough credit. So that was point number one. Point number two was that everybody thinks, or like a lot of people have told me that people assume that kids who go to the US for their undergrads are like stinking, filthy rich. Like, okay, I'm not going to deny that I come from like an upper middle class, like fairly privileged family and background, and my parents did have the resources to pay for college, and I will admit that I did not take on any debt in my name. So all of those disclaimers aside, I would also like to say that not everybody is super filthy rich, right? Like, I have some friends who are, and good for them, and they do lead the sort of extravagant life that everybody assumes all international students lead. But there are also like a group of people that come from fairly non-super rich backgrounds and whose families have just decided to invest their savings or take on debt to further the child's education, as opposed to any other expense. It was just the priority over other things. And a lot of people are like so mean about it to me. They're like, oh my god, it's so expensive, why did you go? I'm just like, okay, first of all, like, I'm sorry that I have so deeply offended you by like going abroad to study and get a degree. Also, like, people spend crores on weddings, on movies, on holidays, okay? And so I think it is a worthwhile investment to spend money on like your education that's going to pay for itself slash be an investment for the future. Just today, actually, I was talking to the Uber driver about his daughter's education, and she's doing engineering, and how they thought about putting her in medical school, but the seats themselves, like the management quota seats for medical colleges in India, like that one-time payment covered my whole 4 years. So I would say that India does spend a lot of money on a lot of things, and I feel like we can just stop demonizing the fact that that much money was spent on doing an undergrad in the US. Clearly, I've been bottling that up for a while. Now, having said that, one thing that definitely did live up to its standard and like to the expectation that was set was the sense of freedom and like liberation in America. Like, there are no like timings when your hostel closes. There's no like girls aren't allowed in boys dorms or boys aren't allowed in girls dorms. There's none of that. I think the only limitation we had was if you're staying on campus housing, then if you're getting an apartment of like 4 people, they all have to be girls or they all have to be boys. You can't mix that like within the apartment itself. But the floors were all like mixed, and so it was really not a big deal to be hanging out in a boys' apartment or a girls' apartment. And like in general, there definitely is that whole idea of, you can wear what you want, you don't get stared at as much. Like, yes, there is harassment, yes, there is like all sorts of like creepy people out there all over the world, but it doesn't feel as suffocating. Like, it is quite a nice breather because people are a lot less judgmental about what you're wearing. That may not be true of Europe, because I feel like Europe has incredibly stylish people, but America is very accepting of individuality, which I really, really enjoyed. So that's my nugget of wisdom or like nugget of experience for today. So if you have any other follow-up questions, please like comment or email me. My details will be in the description below. And this is going to be like a series, and I haven't decided how many episodes it should have or how many questions I'm going to answer. So just keep the questions coming in. I'll just keep adding to the playlist. So this was just one of them. Lots more coming up. And so yeah, let's not bank on the stereotypes and make the world a better place. Okay, bye.